Good morning, guys. I hope you had a great night. Just give me a second here. Let me grab my note from my system. Okay, guys, I don't know. I don't seem to find my note on my system, but I'm 100% sure that I left it here yesterday, saved. So I don't know. Let me check my work desk. Just a second, please. Okay, I have so many notes here. I know it's one of these. Oh my goodness, guys, I am so sorry that I am taking so much of our time here. I don't think, I don't know. One of the ways of achieving a successful week, either at work or even at home, is getting pretty organized. And yeah, at times, it can be a daunting task for some of us. And you know what? You don't really need to bother yourself about that, because today I got your back. So I have some steps for you that if you consistently follow, I promise you that it will help you get more organized. And yes, welcome back to my channel, Bold Petals Vlog. I hope you had a great night. And if you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. And relax, because we are going on a memorable ride. Hello guys, thank you so much for joining back. So today I'm going to share with you some of the steps that I followed, and these steps that have helped me to get more organized. Either it could be at home or at work. And if you're able to follow these steps diligently, I know that it will become a part of you and you wouldn't have to struggle with getting organized each day at work or even at home. So whatever we're going to discuss today would cut across 4 things that would be helping you to getting organized here, because this is where everything starts. Helping you to get organized with your time management and also your physical surroundings, and then at work, because they say charity begins at home. So you have to start from the mind, then you branch out, right? So for me, I believe that me getting organized starts with the amount of time I dedicate to my rest period or my sleep time. So I make sure that I get at least 6 hours of sleep each day. And within the week, if I notice that I've cut down on my sleep time, I try as much as possible to make it up. Because if you're not able to sleep adequately, you notice that you're usually weak the following morning, you don't feel like working, or you are sleepy at work, and you wouldn't want that to happen, right? Then another thing I try as much as possible to do is physical activities. So even if I don't indulge or engage in exercises, I try as much as possible to take long walks. This could be during my lunch breaks, I call it power walk, or after work. When I come back, I just quickly round up with whatever I have to do and take a walk outside. It helps me a lot because I get to at times when I feel so stressed out, I love to take walks, because afterwards I notice that I feel better. Although for some people it works a different way, but that is what works for me. Then another thing is eating healthy. One, I prep my food. I don't usually eat out, and whenever I have to eat, I make sure that I have a combination of protein, I have a combination of carbohydrates, and also vegetables. Then I don't miss my smoothies at all. And also I try as much as possible to take in as much fluid as possible. It could be smoothie, it could be water, it could be anything, but I try as much as possible to cut down on diet drinks. So I don't want to mention names, but yes, taking in a lot of caffeine, or what I'm trying to avoid. But yes, those are not really good for your system. Yes. So another thing is this. Now, when I'm done with these parts of taking adequate rest, taking my power walks, eating healthy, taking in enough food, I don't just dive into writing a to-do list. No. What I do is I set goals, or I set a goal, and I don't just do that. I set targets that are realistic, because most times when you juggle up everything, or dump everything in your to-do list, you find out that you grapple with a lot of things at the same time, and you may end up doing nothing. Trust me, it has happened to me so many times. So what you're going to do is, like what we usually do, maybe during a scrum meeting, we usually have our backlog. So you can have this load of to-do lists, like to-do tasks. Then you look at them and look at the ones that are realistic. When I say realistic, they are ones that you need to get done right away. They are ones that need to get done that are dependent on other things. And also they are ones that are just like this, you get them done. So make your to-do list realistic. So you can have a huge list of what you want to do. They can be in their hundreds. Then from there, you can pick the ones that are realistic according to your priority. So what am I trying to say? Whatever you want to put on that to-do list, make sure that you prioritize. Make sure that they are realistic. Don't go on chasing like the wind, or putting up stuffs on your to-do list that that would take you the whole of the day to do, and you end up achieving nothing. Now, let's move on to doing to-do lists and stuffs. How early do you get to work? That to a large extent determines how organized you get for the day. For example, myself, I get to work 15 minutes to the time, or at least 10 minutes to the time. And at times, when you get to work very late, you are pretty disorganized from that moment, because you have deadlines, you have meetings and stuff like that. So try as much as possible to get to work as early as possible, and that could go a long way in helping you. Now, when you get to work, what is the first thing you do? The first thing I usually do when I get to work is to open up my emails. And when I open up my emails, I try as much as possible to clean up my email, and I will talk about that later on. So once I'm done checking my emails, and I arrange them in the form of how I'm going to respond to the emails or what I need to do, I also get some of my to-dos on that emails that I have received for the day. Then I go on to checking the meetings I have for the day. So now, checking your emails and also checking the meetings you have for the day would help you know what you have for the day. And also remember that you have done your to-do lists earlier. So whatever you have checked on your email, or whatever you have on your calendar for the day, would help you determine what would happen for the day. Because you don't want a situation whereby you have to meet with surprises, right? Then another thing is, by the time you are done with those, you know that the next thing would be for you to prioritize. Now, as you're going, how do you prioritize? You prioritize according to how soon or how important or who whatever task you need to do goes to. So set your priorities right. Don't go doing what you're not supposed to be. Maybe, for example, what you're supposed to be doing before the end of the day or close to the end of the day, you are doing it at the beginning of the day. And you know yourself. So some tasks that are heavy, you may want to do them first to get them out of the way. Then you go for the lighter tasks. So it depends on the type of work you do. It depends on you. So that means you have to know your person. So check your emails, check your calendar, then you prioritize. And please, 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 as you're doing those, always take notes. Take notes. Take notes either on your OneNote, take notes either on your sticky notes, or even you can have a physical note. Now, moving into the most important things one after the other. Now, for the day, you may have meetings. How do you engage in your meetings? For me, I try as much as possible to, if like when I see my meetings, I already know what is expected of me on that call. So either I take notes or I am recording. So maybe you want to start with recording, then also you take notes in the background. And if you're not a fast typer, you can take notes, physical notes. And then those, when you record, it will help you go back to what you have taken, just to make sure that everything aligns. And yes, there are some meetings you can't record, unfortunately. So what do? I would advise you to take physical notes, and also as much as possible ask questions. Nobody has been killed for asking questions, and it would look even more professional when you ask questions and you know you have the correct note than when you send out those follow-up emails or you send out your minutes and you have wrong information on them. So think about that. Then there is something else that is very important you don't need to miss out. Try as much as possible to close on quick tasks. For example, when you're on a call and there are tasks that are being called up, for example, we need to schedule a call at this time, we need this document and stuff like that. You know, some of those are at arm's reach. You can schedule a meeting even while on the call. You can even try as much as possible to provide that PDF that is required, or you just take the notes by the side, and as soon as you drop from the call, make sure you check out on those tasks because they are quick, you know, and when you have them out of the way, you have them out of the way. Another thing is communicate. As soon as you drop from those meetings, try as much as possible to provide a follow-up email, maybe to write down, have the tasks, who should, take care of the tasks and stuff like that. And also you have your Teams chats, you have even your phone chats and stuff. You can, leverage on those and communicate as much as possible, because as you are communicating, as you are sending out those tasks to whoever that needs to take care of them, you are unburdening yourself from so many tasks for the day. Then another thing is, as you are going on throughout, I know that each day is like this. Yeah, they say you work 8 hours in a day, but before you know it, it's over. So what you should do is, as you are riding on all those tasks, try as much as possible to, check up on all those tasks and make sure that you have them done, you have the ones that are done, and you can see clearly the ones that are still yet to be done. And please, as you are working in between all those tasks, try as much as possible to take in fluid. Stretch as much as possible. Even if it's possible, you can set your timer on your system, you can set your timer on your wristwatch, or even on your phone to remind you to stretch, remind you to take in enough fluid, because it is a healthy way of working. You sit for 3 hours at a stretch, 4 hours at a stretch. No, you have to time yourself in between to get up and stretch, get up and even do something else for just 5 minutes or 10 minutes that is not work, and as much as possible, please don't ignore your break period, don't ignore your lunch period, because those would go a long way in helping you. So guys, let's take a short break now and we will be right back. So guys, thank you so much for joining back. I hope you were able to take a power walk. I hope you were able to take in some fluids or even stretch before coming back to meet me here. Yes, because I did. So, do you want to be successful? carrying out each day as though nothing matters? Do you want to get more organized? Then this vlog is for you. So I know we have talked about so many things. We talked about sleeping, we talked about exercising, we talked about eating healthy, we talked about taking in fluids, we talked about setting realistic goals. We talked about getting to work and checking on your emails and also your meeting calendars and prioritizing. We've also talked about taking notes during meetings or recording your meetings and also closing on quick tasks. We also talked about communicating, that is following up on those emails, following up on those tasks immediately after a meeting, and also reaching out. Also, we talked about looking at what you have listed out as your to-do list for or your success list for the day and checking them off. Then also, let us move right into more steps for you to do. And I know you'll be like, oh my goodness, more? But yeah, don't you want to get more organized? Come on, let's do this. Okay, so now, this depends on, what I'm going to say now depends so much on the type of work you do. It depends so much on your relationship with your colleagues. It depends so much on your relationship with your manager. And also, you can have this as a discussion with your team member. You can have this as a discussion with your manager before you go on to do it. Now, you know that there are some tasks, like, for me, I am 100% work-life balance. I don't encourage people to bring work home or work after hours, although at times you can't help it. Yeah. So, but don't mind me. Yeah, but there are some tasks at work that would need 100% of your attention. Yes, they say you should learn how to multitask, but research has shown that when you do some multitasking, you are not actually doing anything. You end up doing nothing. So try as much as possible to have that conversation. Go ahead to block up those times on your calendar and concentrate on what you need to do and get them out as quickly as possible. And you know, when you communicate that you need to do this, that's why you are blocking off time, at least the person on the other end would understand why you have your calendars blocked, just in case they ask, you know. Yes. Now, over to another thing. How do you schedule your meetings? Do you just go ahead to schedule them and put any time there, or do you plan? For me, I plan my meetings. I look at the meeting, what we need to discuss, and I try to imagine how many hours or how many minutes it will take. Yeah, some meetings we schedule for 1 hour shouldn't take less than 20 minutes or even 10 minutes, you know. And at times when people see such, they get frantic, like, why are we scheduling this meeting for this long? See how you schedule your meetings. First of all, draw up an agenda for your meeting. Try as much as possible to put that agenda on the body of the email and keep your meetings brief as much as possible. At least 30 minutes, you know. And when you're sending it out, you know you are communicating at the same time. Whoever is attending that meeting, try as much as possible to reach out to them ahead of time, to engage them, to know if they will be available. If it's a meeting that you have so many people at the same time, you know how to use your scheduler. You can check when they are free. Also, if you are able to reach out to 1 or 2 or 3 of them that you know that are major stakeholders, try as much as possible to do that. So whenever they are getting your invite, they know why they are coming for that meeting. They know what is required of them. And if there are documents that will be important for them to browse through or to review before the meeting, do so to attach it on the meeting, on the body of the schedule. It will go a long way to help you. Then come right there into the meeting. For your meetings, try as much as possible to keep to time. Meetings of 30 minutes should at least be 30 minutes, 25 minutes, or even 20 minutes. Yeah. For example, when you open the meeting, try as much as possible to summarize the reason why you guys are there and what you guys need to discuss, so that people would not, veer off. And whenever you see a stakeholder or someone bringing in something that was not like on the agenda, try as much as possible to diplomatically bring them back into the meeting. You know what I'm trying to say. And also, there are discussions that shouldn't be held on right on that spot. What you can do is to take it to the parking lot. You can decide to take the discussion or take the call out of that meeting so that you keep your 30 minutes to your 30 minutes. Know that meetings that are supposed to be 30 minutes or 1 hour that are going into 1 hour 30 minutes are eating into other tasks you have for the day, or even eating into other meetings that you have for the day. So try as much as possible to manage your time during your meetings, manage your stakeholders during your meetings, be at alert. That's why you really need to try as much as possible to pay attention during your meetings. Know when someone is saying something that isn't on their agenda that needs to be taken out of the call, and also know how you can bring it back onto the call. So yes, let's move on from there. I've said something about using parking lot. This tells you about time management. Also, there are some of conversations you don't actually need to schedule a meeting for. There are some conversations you just need to close over Teams that you don't even need to take into emails, because I found out that with emails there are so many back and forth. And it's always good to have a good relationship with your stakeholders. I know that some will be like, oh, there are some conversations that you need to document. Fine, you have Teams for that, because when you bring it to Teams, it is less formal, the other person will be less apprehensive. Yes, and at the same time you are documenting your conversations and you are getting whatever feedback you need. So know how to engage your stakeholders when it comes to tasks or when it comes to stuff you just need to close on the go. There are stuff that don't need to go to emails. You can take them to Teams. There are also some tasks that you need just 5 minutes call and you've closed it. So think about that. Will you rather go back and forth on an email for days? I've seen emails that have run for days on something that I can easily close over on Teams, or even call the stakeholder or call whoever on the call and close it under 5 minutes. So would you rather save your time for 1 week over 5 minutes call, or do you want to go back and forth on those emails? Think about that. Then another thing you have to do is this. Whenever you come to work each day or for the week, and even if it's at home or whatever you're doing, try as much as possible to keep distractions farther away from you. It could be your gadgets, it could be like maybe a book you're reading, it could be anything. Keep them at arm's length. Maybe if you have a drawer at the office, you keep it in the drawer, keep your device in the drawer. Or if you are such a person that would always want to, respond to your emails quickly, try as much as possible to maybe turn off the notification. Set a time in the day when once you are done checking your emails in the morning, you can come back in the afternoon to check them. Although I will tell you that there are some emails that need your prompt attention. So what do you do about that? But for me, what I do is, even if I get the emails, some of them I respond on the spot, some of them I leave for later. That is why it's also good to leave some of those notifications on. The only thing is, just try to be principled enough, not to get carried away with, okay, you are doing a task currently and you see an email, you want to do the email, you want to do the task. It's quite difficult. So know how to prioritize. This brings you back to prioritization. Some of those emails, when you read them, you don't really need to respond immediately. You need to think. You need to plan on how to respond to them. Some of them can just be like, a question that you just need to respond over Teams, and you continue with your work. And there are times that you are knee-deep into a task that wouldn't want your attention divided. You just need to focus. So you need to learn how to prioritize. Another important thing to do, or another way of getting organized for the day, is this. Please, 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 always go with a slide, a report, or a talking note for your meetings. These are very important. In fact, it is professional. Yeah, I know that at times we like, oh, I know what I want to say. Oh, I know what we have planned out. But when you have talking notes, when you have an agenda, when you have slides, when you have report, you are already defining yourself. You are already defining the time or the amount of time you need to spend on that meeting, and you are getting more organized than when you're on a call and you are trying to make a point and you have to say 20 things before you make that point, or you have to rigmarole before you make that point. You are distracting the meeting. You're not saving the meeting time. So, you need to you need to be on the go. You need to be on top of what you are doing. And one of the ways would be to always go to your meetings with a talking note, with your slides, or with your reports ready. And even if you are the facilitator, make sure you have your screen shared immediately you join the meeting. So guys, we have said so much. And going over what we have said, we've talked about going to sleep. We talked about exercising in order to get more organized, more efficient at work. We have talked about taking in fluids. We have talked about setting goals. We have talked about having a relatively realistic to-do list or success list. We have talked about checking your emails whenever you come into work, or even checking your meeting calendars. We have also looked at how important it is to prioritize, and also always take notes and record your meeting. And there are some meetings that you can't record because of privacy. What do? You ask questions so that people would re-emphasize or emphasize on what they have said, or clarify on what they have said. And also, you try as much as possible to close on your quick tasks. For example, sharing documents, scheduling meetings, those are quick tasks. And we have also looked at the importance of communication after meetings, or even before meetings, because you are keeping everybody abreast, you are chasing tasks, and at the same time, you are reducing the number of to-do on your lists. And another thing is this, also to follow up immediately after a call, which would help you to a large extent, ticking off on all those lists, all those things you have done for the day. Then, stretching. Don't ever forget to take your breaks. It is very, very important. In fact, taking breaks and lunch is your right at work. Also, take that power walk, just like I used to do. Then, constantly go through your to-do list to make sure that you have them prioritized, you have checked out on the ones you have done, and even at times, you would see that some of what you have on your to-do list can be done later on, not even that day. They can spill over into the next day. It is not a crime. So far as you know your priorities and you know what you need to target. Then another thing is this. Have a conversation depending on the type of work you do, or the type of relationship you have, to block out times on your calendar to do priorities, or to do work or tasks that need immediate attention and immediate timelines that need to be delivered. So there are times that you don't want to bring work home. You don't want to stay late at work, because that is not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be having a good work-life balance. And that is why you have those important conversations, so that whenever you have your time blocked and you're not in any meeting, someone out there understands why you have it blocked and why you need to deliver on this task that needs to be done in the office and not at home. Then another thing is, how do you manage your meetings? Make sure you keep your meetings to time, and also use parking lots during your meetings. Always take with you, whenever you're going to your meetings, your slides, your talking notes, or your report. And yes, we have said so much. Let me give you some time to stretch out. Let us come back to this conversation and we'll finish up. Hi guys, thank you so much for staying up until this moment. I do appreciate, and I hope whatever we have been discussing so far has been very useful to you, and you're looking forward to putting them in practice. And yes, if this has been useful to you, please kindly subscribe, like, comment, and do share. And I hope when we went on break, you were able to take that power walk, you took in some fluids, and you stretched, because I did. Now let us dive into the last segment. Now, another important thing to do is, or how one can get organized, is to follow up on your emails. You can follow up through your Outlook, as like, following it up like on email or on Teams, like on your collaborative tools, and making sure to get feedback on some of the discussions you're having. Those feedbacks would help put you on track. Then another thing is this: always have a tracker. It could be on Excel sheet, it could be on Jira, it could be even like on a written sheet, like physical. But the main thing is to have a tracker to your project, or to the tasks you've given out, or to the tasks you've shared out. Because looking at the tracker, you're able to know the status of what you are doing. For me, what I usually do is I color code my trackers. You have green, close, orange or yellow shows me that this is in progress, red tells me that this is at risk. So make it as simple as possible, that just a glimpse will tell you where everything is at. And as you are going around or about your daily activities, please have your eyes or mind on time. Try as much as possible to do everything within time. Then another important thing is this: know your tools. Yes, if you are able to know your tools, as little as knowing that you can create folders on Outlook and you make things possible for you, or things easier for you at work, it helps in time management. Knowing your tools can be knowing that on Outlook you are able to organize your emails according to folders, so that whenever you get some emails, you know which folder to file it to, in such a way that whenever you look at your emails in the morning, it's not all over the place, because you have them filed. Knowing that you can filter your emails to show you according to date or subject, so that at a glance you know what you're up against for the day. Another thing is, when you want to schedule a meeting, I talked about scheduling a meeting and how to organize your meeting. You can use Outlook by, I can't remember the particular command on Outlook, but you were able to have your participants vote on a particular date and time. And when they are done, that date or time they have voted on would automatically set or schedule a meeting for you guys. So either that it saves you more time when you do that than when you reach out to your stakeholders. For example, you have to schedule a meeting with 20 people, 30 people, or even 20 people at the same time, and you don't want to reach out to them. That's a whole lot of work for me, or that's how I see it though. But on Outlook, you have something to help you do that easily. You just use your scheduling tool to look at the availability dates or time, then try as much as possible to create a query that would allow you to schedule, block off their calendars with those times and dates and send it to them. Everyone would be able to vote on the time they are available, on the date they are available, and you guys have your meeting. Then on Outlook, you're able to also signal or tick off or flag an email, or even set a reminder on an email that you would want to come back to. There are so many other tools you can use on Outlook. You can always check out on Google or YouTube. Then another thing, on your Teams, you are able to schedule a meeting on your Teams. You are able to collaborate on your Teams. You are even able to create a group on your Teams, that you have all your team members on a group on Teams, and you are able to collaborate on Teams. Then on SharePoint, you are able to do whatever you need to do on SharePoint. You can dump your documents on SharePoint. You can give access to your team members on SharePoint. You guys can work collaboratively at the same time. And even you have Microsoft Outlook, you have your Microsoft, maybe your Excel on SharePoint, whereby you edit something and you automatically send to your team member, and they are able to work on it, and you even work on it at the same time with your team member. That is saving you so much time. So know all your tools, and those tools will make things easier for you. For example, you have your OneNote where you can take notes and you are creative with your work. Then another thing is also, as you know your tools, try as much as possible to use those tools to collaborate at work. Don't just know them, don't just use them for your stakeholders. Also use them within your teams. Have your teams collaborate on Outlook, have your teams collaborate on Teams, on Things. Have your team collaborate on SharePoint, which make things work easier for you. Then plan your time, just like I mentioned. Plan your time within the day so that you'll be able to check on those emails that you want to like go through within time. Maybe you want to do some work on the email, or you know that you need to think things through before you respond to that email. Also, utilize AI tools. When I say utilize AI tools, I mean that online there are so many applications, there are so many gadgets that you can use. For example, you need templates for a charter, you need templates for this, you need you need to gather a financial document and you don't know how to go about it. You can go online and research. You can download applications that can help you make your work easier and faster. Another thing is this: know that you work within a team, and within that team you guys have so many documents, either on SharePoint, maybe you have so many things on Jira, you have on Outlook, maybe you have a single email for the whole team, a group email for the whole team. And when you come to that email, or when you come to that Outlook, you have files all over the place. You have naming convention all over the place. Oh my goodness, that you can't even find anything like within split seconds. Try as much as possible to organize your files. Try as much as possible to put your files in a folder, or put your emails in a folder, so that they can be easily located, they can be easily found, and you don't have to struggle whenever you work around the clock. And it is quite frustrating that you spend 10 minutes or 5 minutes looking for one single file, when you put that file in a folder and you have a naming convention, and someone is able to, you just tell them, just go here and you see the file, or you just provide the name of the file or the folder to them and they go looking for it and they find it easily. So try as much as possible to organize your file. Also, we are talking about organizing digital files. Also organize your physical files. When I mean your physical files, I mean your physical workspace. It could be your desk, it could be your drawer where you keep your pen and your pencils, or your notepads, where you keep your devices and stuff like that. An organized physical workspace is an organized mental workspace. For me, whatever I see with my eyes, I also see with my mind. So I try as much as possible to have my physical space organized. Then, when you are doing this, you know that you are psychologically or mentally creating a routine for yourself. So I know that it may be a lot of things mentioned, but I would be honest with you. Even if out of what we've mentioned so far, you are able to do one or practice on one a week, and you notice that you've gotten that right, go over to the second one, and before you know it, you formed a routine that at times you don't even need that to-do list. Trust me. Exactly. Then another thing is this: always take breaks. I know I've talked about lunch breaks. I've emphasized on your breaks, your 15 minutes breaks, your stretch and stuff like that. There will be a time when you need to take that mental, physical break away from work. So I'm talking about those 1 week, 3 days, 2 weeks, within work that are mandatory for you, because you need to rejuvenate. You need to go away from work. You need to think less about work, because this mental mind, or this mind, needs to be fed. And how do you feed it? It is by resting. So guys, I hope all we have discussed has been so useful, although it took us quite some time to get there. But I promise you, it takes one step at a time for you to get organized. Try this today and let me know how it goes. And thank you so much for being with us at Bold Petals Vlog. See you next time. Thank you.